You know, when I was younger, I used to love watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. It was the most peaceful, the most quiet, the most thoughtful show ever. And it touched on a whole lot of subjects. And when he spoke, you knew he was speaking not only from the heart, but he was speaking from the real. When he would say something, you knew that he couldn't be lying to you. You know that he could tell you the truth, and you know he could say something about Trolley or Mr. McFeely or about any of his guests that come in. You knew when they came there, they not only felt welcome, but you knew that in his heart, he welcomed them. And you welcomed them too because you loved him. You know, he was one of our greatest leaders, one of our greatest sages. I put him up there with anybody in the Bible. You know, anybody in my Zen books, any of those guys. Mr. Rogers was right up here. And due to that, when I would then, in turn, because I was young, in turn, when I watched John Wayne or Humphrey Bogart or any of those other white guys that, you know, they show, you know, She Wore a Yellow Ribbon. I know everybody my age saw that movie. The Searchers. Anything that had to do with white men killing Indians. I was like, when we played outside, I wanted to be John Wayne. I wanted to kill Indians. I thought Indians was evil. Our perspectives at certain points in our lives are pretty much commanded by what we're exposed to as young people, right? Now that's when I was around 6 or 7 years old, 8 years old. Then they added a few more channels, but I still basically stayed with, like, you know, those regular channels, ABC, CBS, NBC. Then they have PBS. So I started watching that. The McNair News Hour on PBS. And then I started seeing the world. You know, and I started listening to politics. And I started listening to different presidents. You know, all the presidents that I listened to, because once again, I'm hearkening back to watching Fred Rogers, because I grew up in Philadelphia. So the movement, the people who were moved, the African people, and they bombed that place and everything else, although our mayor was Wilson Good, you know, a brother, the fact of the matter is that, you know, he was under a white governor or whatever. So I was like, and they were black and they were dark. You know what I'm saying? And so you had this conflicting feelings about it. You know what I mean? About how you felt about them. They didn't look black like me. They didn't look black like Mr. Sam, or they didn't look black like the guy I talked to you about who brought the fish and greens down my block. They didn't look like you know, them guys look, you know, they had clean cut, you know what I mean, whatever, shaved and everything else. But they look different. Dreadlocks and things like that. Okay, 9, 10 years old. Then I'm 13, 14 years old. Then you start to see, then the light of truth starts to shine on a lot of different things. You know, you see police officers and, you know what I mean, starting to, you know, hurt people, you know what I mean, on the news. Because like I said, on my block, it just didn't happen. You know what I mean? And that was kind of strange. And I would see these white cops, beating these brothers up. And at 13 years old, I'm looking at my skin, and I'm looking at that. And then also, this is like 12 or 13. 12 years old, 13 years old, there's kids coming out, I'm going to be an Indian. We the good guys. And they would no. And I was like, why do you want to be an Indian? They're the bad guys. No, see, this is what happened. And you start hearing about what the white man did to the Indians. And then the light shines on that a little bit more, right? And then a Muslim brother, came and started telling me that, oh yeah, that Bible you reading, it's been tampered with. A lot of different people been, rewriting and this kind of thing, and the light shines on that a little bit more. And then you go into your church and you hear the preacher is poking this one and he's poking that one, and you see what I mean? And so your thoughts evolve, and the light shines on all of these things, and it helps you question not only your beliefs, but what you see. It questions how you perceive these things, right? And now you say, well, wait a minute, maybe I need to understand what's going on a little bit more. I need to find out a little bit more of what, these people are doing. Maybe they're not all like Mr. Rogers. You know what I mean? They're different. You see, by the time I got to Penn State, New Kensington, and I was debating, they saw me as Malcolm X reborn. As a matter of fact, one guy in my class got so mad. Well, if you don't like it around here, why don't you move? Wait a minute, man. Why should I? And this was in a philosophy class, so we were talking about ethics, hanging, and these kind of things. And I tell him pretty much the story I'm telling you. He gonna talk about, why don't you, move out? I was like, look, man, I take exception to that. My philosophy teacher had to come between us, because we was about to go to blows. It was about to get real. And each time I saw him walking down the hallway, I'd be looking at him ready to go. You see? Then there was an epiphany, a calling, a true calling. My teacher from Ghana, Africa, Dr. Abrakwa, said to me, yeah, you have a lot of good ideas. Very angry, though. Very angry, he said in African accent. And so he gave me a book. And it was called As a Man Thinketh. Okay? And now I have his complete works. I have all of it. And it's something we will be discussing in great detail after this crisis is over. But just suffice it to say that a lot of the truth has to come, and I learned it from James Allen, has to come from your perceptions, your experience, and your skepticism. And those things all come from, BAM! Right here. Okay? It comes from inside the greatest kingdom of all, the mind. I was watching CBS this morning. They were showing these two women. One was black, one was white. And they say one was a Trump supporter, still, and one was a black girl who was a Biden supporter. They say they're going to be friends. That's what's wrong with the country now. See? I don't berate her for having a friend, a white friend, but I do berate her for having, if she is not questioning her friend's sanity at this point. What is Trump doing now? Oh, I had to cut, but don't be afraid, and people die of the flu all the time. Okay, so it's okay that 200,000 people died of this new virus when we've had the flu with us for a while. When you get a flu shot, that helps protect other people. And we know that the flu's been around, so it's not something that we can easily beat. But now we got a vaccine coming. these kind of things. But it's okay that you said it was a hoax at first. Now you're just saying it's just something like the common cold or a flu. So if you die from it, oh well. You know what I mean? So those 200,000 people, multiply that by all the family members, that's okay that they died. See, when you don't think, you're back to that same age I was when I was watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.